Hello and welcome to the Deep Space Deception channel. Today we will delve into one of the most fascinating and perhaps most alarming topics in the universe: Saturn. The giant planet Saturn, not only with its magnificent rings, but also with its potential impact on the delicate balance of our solar system, has recently become a major subject of debate in the scientific community and among the public. The claim, "Scientists can't explain. Saturn has started to disrupt the balance of the solar system," may have caught the attention of many of you. So, how true is this claim? What does science tell us about this? And indeed, has our giant planet Saturn begun to overturn the order of the universe as we know it? In this video, we will deeply examine the truths behind these striking claims, scientific findings, and conspiracy theories. We will cover many topics, from Saturn's energy imbalance to the loss of its rings, from mysterious objects entering the solar system, from outside to unexplained phenomena encountered by scientists. Our aim is not only to provide you with information, but also to enable you to question these complex issues using your critical thinking skills. If you're ready, let's embark on this mysterious journey into the depths of the universe. Saturn, a gas giant and architect of the solar system. Saturn is one of the most iconic planets in our solar system. This gas giant, known for its magnificent rings, is largely composed of hydrogen and helium, much like Jupiter. Located approximately 1.4 billion kilometers from the Sun, Saturn plays a significant role in the outer regions of the solar system. Through its gravitational influence, it can affect the orbits of other celestial bodies and, in some cases, even act as a protective shield for the inner parts of the solar system. For example, along with Jupiter's strong gravity, it is believed to protect inner planets like Earth by deflecting or capturing dangerous asteroids and comets coming from outside the solar system. However, recently, some claims about Saturn have led to speculation that this giant planet might not only be a protector, but also a disruptor of balance. Especially headlines circulating on social media and some news websites, such as NASA, Jupiter, and Saturn could leave the solar system, have caused great concern among the public. So, do these claims have a scientific basis? To find the answer to this question, let's first look at what is really happening on Saturn. Energy imbalance and the mysterious loss of rings, scientific facts. Some scientific findings underpin the claims that Saturn has started to disrupt the balance of the solar system. However, these findings are often misinterpreted or exaggerated. Here are the most important of these findings. The great energy imbalance on Saturn.
According to physicist Liming Lee from the University of Houston, this is the first time a global energy imbalance on a seasonal scale has been observed in a gas giant. This not only provides new information about the formation and evolution of planets, but also fundamentally changes our understanding of planetary and atmospheric science. Since Saturn's orbit is more elliptical than Earth's, there is a 20% difference between its closest and farthest positions from the Sun. This leads to significant fluctuations in the amount of radiation the planet receives from the Sun, which triggers the seasonal energy imbalance. Scientists emphasize that current models and theories predict that the global energy budget in the atmosphere and climates of gas giant planets should be balanced. But this discovery necessitates a revision of these theories.
Recent research has revealed a significant energy imbalance on Saturn. Scientists from the University of Houston have stated that Saturn's orbital eccentricity, the variation in its distance from the Sun, significantly affects the amount of solar radiation the planet receives. Saturn receives more solar radiation when it is closer to the Sun and less when it is farther away. This leads to natural fluctuations in the planet's energy balance. However, an important point here is that while this is an imbalance, it is not a situation that would disrupt the planet's orbit or the overall balance of the solar system. Rather, it is part of the planet's natural cycle. Scientists can explain this phenomenon and relate it to the planet's physical properties. In other words, this is not an unexplained phenomenon, but rather a well-understood process. Information about Saturn. Saturn is the celestial body with the lowest known density in the solar system. Its density is lower than that of water. If it were not considered a gas giant, Saturn would float in a sufficiently large ocean. Saturn's mass is 95 times that of Earth. Atmosphere. Saturn's atmosphere is mostly composed of hydrogen molecules and helium. Studies show that the atmosphere contains between 75% and 90% hydrogen. The remaining part consists almost entirely of helium. The remaining 1% consists of other molecules such as methane, ammonia, hydrogen sulfide, water, carbon monoxide, and phosphine. The atmospheric temperature varies depending on the atmospheric depth and pressure. In the outer parts, regions where the pressure is less than 1 millibar, the temperature is minus 130 degrees Celsius, while it drops to minus 191 degrees Celsius as it goes deeper into the atmosphere. In even deeper parts of the atmosphere, due to the sharply increasing pressure, the temperature begins to rise and reaches minus 130 degrees Celsius again when the pressure is 1 bar. At a depth of 400 kilometers in the atmosphere, the temperature is 0 degrees Celsius, and as the depth increases, the temperature continues to rise. At a depth of 1,000 kilometers in the atmosphere, the temperature reaches 700 degrees Celsius, while at a depth of 20,000 kilometers, the pressure reaches 1 gigapascal million bars, and the temperature reaches thousands of degrees. The type and composition of clouds also change at different atmospheric pressure values. For example, Water ice crystals form in regions where the atmospheric pressure reaches 10 bars. Aurora structures are also observed in Saturn's atmosphere. Similar to Jupiter, solar winds are not the only cause of aurora formation on Saturn. Particles scattered into space from Saturn's moons also have an effect on aurora formation. Rings. Saturn's ring system is known to consist of 7 main rings made of dust-covered rocks and ice. The rings are named A, B, C, D, E, F, and G in order of discovery. Among these, A, B, and C rings are brighter compared to other rings. Internal structure. Regarding Saturn's internal structure, it is thought that there is a core composed of a mixture of iron and nickel at its center, and this core has a mass 10 times that of Earth. It is estimated that liquid molecular hydrogen transforms into a liquid metallic form when the atmospheric pressure is 2 million bars and the temperature is 6,000 degrees Celsius. It is assumed that the planet's magnetic field is formed by the movement of this liquid layer. Potential impact on solar system balance. According to statements made by NASA, the possibility of giant planets like Jupiter and Saturn separating from the solar system is being discussed. This unusual claim is based on possible instabilities that may occur in the orbits of the planets. Experts state that the interactions of the planets with each other and with external cosmic effects may lead to such a scenario. NASA emphasizes that this situation may occur over a very long period and is not a definitive result. However, it is stated that such a separation would have major effects on the balance of the solar system. It is noted that more research needs to be done on this issue, and scientists continue their studies to understand this possibility.
Discovery process. A team led by atmospheric scientist Xinyue Wang from the University of Houston, while examining data on Saturn's brightness from the Cassini-Huygens spacecraft, noticed a 16% difference between the energy the planet receives from the Sun and the energy it emits. This difference was observed to change proportionally with the planet's seasonal changes. Researchers determined that this proportionality is related to Saturn's distance from the Sun. Saturn's orbit is not perfectly circular. It has an elliptical orbit like Earth. However, Earth's orbit is more circular than Saturn's. This causes a 20% difference between the planet's closest and farthest positions from the Sun. When Saturn is closer to the Sun, it receives much more radiation than when it is farther away, which creates a seasonal energy imbalance. Although such a large difference is not expected in gas giant planets, this discovery has shown that current models and theories need to be changed. Effects of the imbalance. This energy imbalance is thought to play a role in the formation of massive and convective storms that penetrate deep into Saturn's atmosphere. A similar situation is thought to occur on Jupiter, another gas giant planet whose orbit is only slightly more circular than Saturn's. The Great Red Spot on Jupiter, which has been raging for over 400 years, can be given as an example of this situation. This imbalance is also expected to help us understand weather and climates on Earth. Although the energy imbalance on Earth is not as high as on Saturn, it is not zero. Furthermore, we still have very little information about the internal and external structures of gas-covered planets such as Neptune and Uranus. Therefore, such discoveries are vital for uncovering the mysteries of both our own planet and the solar system. The loss of Saturn's rings. Saturn's iconic rings are the planet's most distinctive feature. However, NASA research has confirmed that Saturn is losing its rings at the maximum rate estimated from Voyager 1 and 2 observations. This means that the rings could completely disappear within billions of years. The loss of the rings is primarily caused by micrometeoroid bombardment and the evaporation of ice particles due to ultraviolet radiation from the Sun. This is part of Saturn's natural evolutionary process and does not create a disruptive effect on the planet or the solar system's balance. The loss of the rings is a phenomenon that has been known and studied by scientists for a long time. Although the media may emphasize the mystery or unexplainability of this situation, it is a scientifically well understood process. Mysterious visitors to the solar system and conspiracy theories. In addition to claims about Saturn, mysterious objects entering our solar system from outside have also generated great public curiosity. Particularly, interstellar objects like Oumuamua and Three-Eye Atlas have excited the scientific community and led to some speculation. Their unusual orbits and characteristics have been interpreted by some as evidence of extraterrestrial life or advanced technologies. However, scientists state that these objects are natural formations and can be explained within the framework of known laws of physics. For example, while Oumuamua's shape and rotation are unusual for a natural comet or asteroid, this does not mean it is an alien spacecraft. Science continues to collect data and test hypotheses rather than immediately labeling every not yet fully understood phenomenon as alien or supernatural. The truth behind the scientists can't explain narrative. Such mysterious events often combine with the narrative of scientists can't explain to fuel conspiracy theories. However, an important distinction needs to be made here. The scientific process is a continuous process of discovery and understanding. Every new finding brings new questions, and sometimes the answers to these questions may not be immediately found. However, this does not mean that science cannot explain something. On the contrary, it means that science is pushing its boundaries and trying to acquire new knowledge. Conspiracy theories, on the other hand, often step in to fill these gaps and create their own narratives by distorting or misinterpreting scientific data. At Deep Space Deception, we aim to critically examine such claims and separate scientific facts from speculation. Distortion of scientific news in the media. When we look at how news related to Saturn and other astronomical events is presented in the media, a striking picture emerges. Scientific articles and findings are often presented under sensational headlines, while the actual scientific content remains in the background. For example, headlines like NASA, Jupiter, and Saturn could leave the solar system actually misinterpret scientific studies that discuss theoretical scenarios from billions of years ago. Such headlines create a sense of immediate danger in the reader, while in reality, the events mentioned are in the very distant future and remain at a theoretical level. This situation is one of the biggest problems we face in science communication. The media, while using exaggerated language to make scientific findings more appealing, can lose the true scientific content. Conclusion: the line between fact and speculation. These discussions about Saturn and the solar system once again reveal how mysterious and full of secrets the universe is, waiting to be discovered. Headlines like, "Scientists can't explain," "Saturn has started to disrupt the balance of the solar system," are undoubtedly striking and intriguing. However, when evaluating such claims, it is vital to consider the fine line between scientific facts and speculation. Science is a constantly evolving and self-renewing field. A phenomenon that cannot be explained today may be clarified tomorrow thanks to new findings and technologies. Topics such as Saturn's energy imbalance or the loss of its rings are natural processes actively researched and largely understood by scientists. Mysterious interstellar objects, on the other hand, remind us that there is still much to be discovered in the face of the universe's vastness and diversity. Our goal at Deep Space Deception is to present these complex topics to you in an understandable language to fuel your scientific curiosity, and at the same time to help you develop your critical thinking skills. Facts are always more interesting and more satisfying than conspiracy theories. What is important is to consult reliable sources, question information, and not hesitate to do your own research. Remember, the universe is ready to tell us much more than we think, as long as we are willing to listen and understand. See you in our next video. Keep exploring the secrets of the universe.